Hello and welcome out there to the Holy Hour podcast. Surely it must be the bi-weekly All Cure podcast. And how's it going?
Awesome.
Cool, guys. I am joined once again for this epic episode by the original bad boy of podcasting, way back when it started, Donald.
Who's that?
Donald.
Me.
He was the first person to ever say anything negative on the internet, apparently. That's one of your credits.
Cracking a cold one.
Yeah, he is.
I say negative things, but I say positive things. And the positive things mean a lot.
There you go.
There's so much crap.
Goes a
and
long
when something's
way.
good, it makes it that much better.
There you go.
Just saying. So that's Bloodflowers, and tune in next episode.
And along with the bad boy, we have the Honorable Judge Chaz. Thanks so much for adding a little class to this episode, Chaz.
No problem. How's it going, everybody?
We're doing good, and hopefully everybody out there is doing good. We are chugging along here on the year 2000. The 11th studio album. Is that what we're up to now?
Yeah.
In the time frame, Bloodflowers. Yeah, we made it all the way to Bloodflowers. It's one of those ones that gets referenced, of course, from the start all the way up. Pretty important Cure album. But again, maybe another divisive one here, and people tend to feel strongly one way or another. Donald has definitely been on the record of being kind of skeptical of this album. He didn't recall liking it very much back in the day, and we'll see if if his opinion has changed over the years since 2000 when this album came out. Which it's weird with like Wild Mood Swings. You know, I still felt like I was like a kid enough when it came out, even though that was a while back. You know, but we had like distinct memories of that album and such, and like. But this is the first one where, like, it shocks me that it's fucking 18, almost 19 years old. Like, in February, this album will be 19. Like, this album could vote, right? So...
Yeah.
You're the judge, Chaz.
Yeah.
Like, say Bloodflowers comes waltzing up, ready to vote. You know, you have to let it. So, it's pretty weird. It doesn't seem that old to me. Like, maybe it's just because it was, like, for my personal stance of where we were, like I was like just about to wrap up college and stuff, so it was like I don't feel that different. I mean, obviously I've changed a lot since 2000, but at the same time, you know, you're kind of in that same mindset. I'm like, Jesus, that's a long time ago. So I don't know. This is the first one that makes me officially feel old, even though the other ones
see that do. It's kind of that age, like, too, where it's just, like, I have so much bullshit going on, and this bullshit record comes out, and it's like, of course this is bullshit, too. Like,
yeah, everything was just...
Like, everything's hard right now. Mm-hmm. Great.
But, so, yeah, like, coming off the heels of Wild Mood Swings, it was going to be another 4 years, but they filled it in. Galore came out the very next year, 97, second part of singles collections. Wrong Number was the only new song. People kind of mixed feelings on Wrong Number real quick. Your verdict on that? You like it?
Oh, I put it on every day.
I detect sarcasm.
So you're being
I'm
serious
down with
for
it.
a second.
Yeah.
And I like time it out where I like close my door and I'm leaving for work and I'm like, sorry, wrong number, click.
Yeah.
And then I'm like,
And that's it.
NPR all the way to work. You know?
I'm fine with it. I think it's like just a song. It's not meant to really hit any part of my heart. I think the guitars are cool. The lyrics are pretty throwaway, but I don't know. To me, it's like a lesser cool, never enough, you know, or just kind of like, all right, cool. Maybe just
they could make millions off that song if it was like an ad for like cell phones or something. You know, like a commercial, like sorry, wrong number, and it's like an app.
That's
or
like
something.
one little quick
I don't
part.
know. I'm just saying, like in current times, they could make some money off that shit.
All right. Well, we don't have to dwell on it too long. We'll do a whole episode on Wrong Number another time. But anyway, so Galore came out. There wasn't really too many things to cling to in between Galore and when Bloodflowers would come out. But they did do a little bit of touring for Galore, and we actually saw them for it was called it was a WHFS radio station music jam, the Nutcracker WHS Mass Jam or some shit in '97, and it was like I guess technically the third time we saw him. Do you remember the show, Donald?
Yes, I was trying to think of like.
check.
Yeah, no, I was trying to think of some show. Like I was like, I saw them around this time.
Yeah, and it was cool, but it was like part of a festival, like a little mini stadium thing they did around Christmas time every year. And
Is that their Offspring played?
No, that was later. But this was in that caliber of like what we're saying. And I looked up right
Good
before.
ones. Good shows.
Yeah. Ooh. No, it was dreadful. But I was so happy that we had.
Oh,
like,
was this
floor
Everclear?
seats. Yeah, it was Everclear. Days of the New. Yeah.
Oh man.
Save Ferris was on the bill.
The ska band.
Yeah.
Nice.
And so yeah, this is like the worst fucking lineup. Now that I look at it, I was like, because I remember just like standing there being like, God, just stop so the Cure could come on. And Sugar Ray was the big one that came
Oh,
on.
man.
And like he jumped down in the crowd, was like right next to us, and everyone was losing their shit. Like nobody was there to see the Cure. It felt
Because
like.
they used to be a hardcore band, man. He's like, let's get a pig going.
Yeah,
And
he
he's
was
like,
all
scratch,
like,
scratch,
everyone just grabbing his biceps and like touching him, and he was loving it. Like no
The
shirt.
DJ's like, what's going on? Scratch,
Yeah.
scratch.
I was like, he's like, why?
Rewind.
He's like, why are these dipshits bored? I'm like, fuck you, man. This is a Cure show. Go away.
I'm starting a pit.
Yeah, I was just standing with my arms crossed the whole time at a protest. But then like the weirder one, and we were into Verve, but Verve was playing, and they were super pissed, like, because their album was like huge at that point, and they were like, apparently found out after the show that they were like pissed that they weren't headlining it. They're like, fuck the Cure, nobody cares about them anymore. We're the Verve. And Bittersweet Symphony, and then like out of protest they didn't even play Bittersweet Symphony, and they like let their guitars like just feed back way longer than they were allowed, and I was kind of
no one cared.
yeah, no one cared. I was
know?
like, I even liked them at the time, but I was like, yeah, whatever, get off the stage. And
Turn your guitars off, dude. Like,
yeah,
like, where's the roadie to come out and like, all right,
totally. But
turn some amps down.
But then the Cure File came out. It was a cool show, but it was only like 15 songs, so it was pretty short and sweet. All singles. They opened with Shake Dog Shake, and Reeves actually came out and played like Wrong Number with them and stuff. So that was cool. But yeah, so just a weird time glimpse again at that time frame, like we talked about with Wild and Mood Swings. How odd it was that the Cure was like not that big of a deal, even though they're headlining, rightfully so, over Verve. But so yeah.
But the fact they open with Shake Dog Shake though
Yeah.
overshadows any of Verve's bullshit.
Oh hell yeah! It was just like,
because that's a strong open in like a sea of singles.
yeah, it was a pretty solid set list too. Yeah, and they're doing like
Yeah.
Push and even Torture. I think was like the second song. Like they played Shake Dog Shake and
Wow.
Torture, and then it kind of went.
I remember
into
Push being
singles.
dope as shit.
Yeah, so yeah, I think that was like the first time we probably saw that because we didn't really see too many of those on like Wish or Wild Mood Swings. But yeah, so it was cool, even though it was too dang
Might have
short.
been might have been the last good Cure show I've been to.
Yeah, cool. Well, we'll get to the last one at the end of this episode.
Let's do it.
So, real quick before Bloodflowers officially kicks off, we had More Than This from the X-Files soundtrack. Pretty cool song. Not great, but
It's all right.
and yeah, and World in My Eyes, the Depeche Mode cover for the tribute, which I'm pretty sure both of those
the
were
DC
just like
Marvel crossover.
Yeah,
of
pretty
Depeche
much.
Mode Cure.
Pretty
Like,
much.
it's finally happened.
pretty much exactly what you would think it sounds like. But
The Kogasm
oh yeah.
part.
What is that?
That's they did Robert Smith and Jason Cooper joined with Reeves, and they did a song for the Orgasmo.
Orgasmo.
soundtrack.
Remember the South Park Dudes movie?
Oh shit! With the yes.
Yeah.
Holy
Yeah.
shit!
Superhero
Yeah.
Orgasmo.
I
and,
forgot about that.
Yeah, it's a
Dick
cool
loves some of
song
that.
too.
Yeah.
I'm down with that
Yeah.
one.
And they recorded.
And,
That's way better than this Bloodflowers record.
yeah, they should have done the whole fucking album then. It was,
And they
but,
they recorded Wrong Number during that session too.
yeah,
I
yeah,
believe.
both of them together. And I
Yeah.
think it was just like the three of them. I
Yeah.
think it was like him, Reeves, and Jason Cooper. It wasn't even.
They're just riding that
Yeah.
high of like.
But
That's how
yeah,
Wrong Number got made, man. They're just in the studio goofing and just like, this is dope. Like,
yeah. So I mean, that
Just
kind of
goofing,
shit. Who knows?
playing around.
The billion angles they could have taken again, you know. So at some point, maybe they could have made a whole album of that.
Yeah.
Who knows? But and in between then, Robert's craving more family time, so a lot of downtime, and record sales for Galore didn't really meet expectations either. So all signs are pointing towards, you know, just another kind of slow next step down popularity wise, but somewhere in all this, the seed for Bloodflowers gets planted. All the stuff I read, I didn't really find any like distinct moment where he's like, I have to record the next album, but it just seemed something that he wanted to do and was ready for another one. So yeah, even though you know, it kind of was on the expectations of what happened with Wild Mood Swings, it seemed like he really wanted to do this one really focused, and a lot of things that we came up with as conclusions of Wild Mood Swings of where it went wrong, or, you know, he really wanted to hone it in, have a theme this time, and take less time recording it in particular. So they started it with 2 sessions in particular. There was one pre-Christmas 98 and then spring 99. Apparently in the pre-Christmas first session was like a lot of like more electronic-y stuff, and loops were used, and just stuff that wouldn't be on Bloodflowers theme. And then like they really honed in on what he wanted for the second session, and started
still lots of drum loops.
Yeah, so like kind of got the main idea rolling by that one for sure though, and it was gonna just be like more of a real Bloodflowers theme. They go back to St. Catherine's Court to record it. Also did some recording or mixing, I wasn't quite sure, in Avon and RAK Studios, which is where they recorded Pornography. So it's a little foreshadowing there. I think they just mixed it there, but they might have done some
recording. I've seen that RAK,
too.
like, I always...
Yeah, tons of...
call it, like, rack in my head.
Yeah, maybe it is. I don't know. I just kind of...
It's like... But that studio has like recorded a lot of dope bands. I think.
Yeah, I just glanced at it to confirm that that's where they recorded Pornography, and it's like Park Life and a lot of other shit there. Adele's album, you know. Adele. She's a big deal, right? So like, but
Adele's not bad.
Sure, man.
If you're walking over the grocery store and that "Hello from the Other Side" comes on. It's kind of like, all right.
You get really into it.
Yeah, I get down with that song.
Teared up
Down the frozen aisle.
I beatbox.
Yeah.
Nice.
To it.
But
I literally do. I'm not joking. Like, I have a way better beat for that song in my head. Every time I hear it.
Chose me, man. I'd make that fucking song a hit.
Dope, man, because that song sounds good.
Yeah.
Sounds better than this shit.
Well, let's save it. Let's save it, bad boy. They haven't even recorded it yet. I'm just building this tension here. You're hating it before they even recorded it, man. What the fuck? But they did choose this guy, Paul Corkett. I'm not sure if I'm totally pronouncing it right, but it seems Corkett was a dude. They didn't go with the guy from Wild Mood Swings again. And I think, like, just on the top, production-wise, there's a lot better choices on this one. Nothing, definitely some weird, you know, some sounds a little weird here and there on it. But for the most part, I feel like all the production's way better on this. Dude did, like, Placebo and Sleeper's first album, but... than Wild Mood Swings, just because
it definitely had a very different, than was it Wild Mood Swings?
Yeah,
it's cohesive.
Yeah,
it is. Like the drums, like they have this. Like at first, I was like, drums sound stupid because they had it's like a real big room sound with the drums. Like, and I like that when I like record drums.
Mm-hmm.
Like the few times I've been in like dope studios, I'm like, can we just do like this huge, like big drum, like reverb room sound? And they're like, yep,
yeah,
I love that. And then I was like critiquing it, just like listen to that fucking shitty giant, awesome drum room sound. Like, and they're building off of that.
Yeah.
Ugh. And at first I hated it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Guitars sound weird.
I think it
but
works.
I don't know. Like.
Okay.
I'm kind of torn on the mixing of it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I feel like when the songs boil down, it's not the production that makes me like it or hate it, which I wasn't sure on with Wild Mood Swings. There's a lot of ones where I'm like, this might be, like a few of them, like Strange Attraction, I was like, I think maybe I like the song, but I just don't like the way it was recorded and stuff. But like, at least everything on Wild Mood Swings or everything on Bloodflowers, I'm kind of like, it's the way it sounds. I might just not like the song that much, but it sounds cool the way it is. You know what I mean? I can't really picture anything that I'd want to tweak too much. Even you know what I mean?
You mean no violins and orchestral?
Yeah. No horns at least. We don't have any horns, so that's good. But
there's lots of piano in this album.
Yeah.
yeah, true.
I'm just saying.
We'll get to that for sure. But
I'm just saying.
Yeah, and it's just cohesive in the mixing, and I think that, like we said, where it was mixed by a billion different people for Wild Mood Swings, just having those two really mix every song made it flow, whether you like it or not.
Learn from their mistakes.
Yeah, so for sure, I feel like already they've already covered a lot more, mistakes from Wild Mood Swings than they had. So, but yeah, then the other big ones are the factors of like, okay, they're setting in to record, but all things are kind of pointing already towards this being a finale Cure album, just in theme and feel. And it's the end of the century even, going into 2000 when it will finally be released, but it's all being recorded at the end of the century. It's a Wild Mood Swings kind of rebound, since Galore didn't even really sell that well. Tim Burton had asked him to score the Sleepy Hollow soundtrack or do the musical score for that, but he turned it down.
And then they opened a Hot Topic.
Yeah. Not quite. It was the last album on the Elektra deal, and Fiction was pretty clearly fading at this point, where it was going to get sold, even though there's mixed things on it being a surprise or not. Robert Smith, of course, turning 40, so every time that there's a milestone birthday, we know something's time to get dark again. So there's the definitive theme, pretty much no doubt on theme this time around. And I feel like I had to do like so much of a public apology, because even at the start of doing this, I felt like I kind of like always hinted that maybe I didn't really buy that it was part of the trilogy idea from the start. Like thinking that was something kind of tacked on at the end, because I didn't really read many interviews when this came out, because I kind of just stopped like reading spin and shit around that age, and like by 2000 I was like whatever, and didn't really read every little Robert Smith interview and stuff, but apparently it was pretty much in there from the start, that he did want it to be not so much like a sequel or whatever, but like just a follow-up and in that vein of Disintegration and Pornography. So I think like the trilogy kind of idea is a little bit, absolute and more legit from the start, and even like the early conception of this album.
Nah.
So, no, you're not buying it still?
Hell yeah.
You think they tacked it on? Because, that's what I was like, kind of thought.
I don't, I have so many thoughts. I don't know. I was just rolling my eyes just thinking of like him trying to add that into those two albums as part of a trilogy. I mean, I understand, like it's his art, so it's it's kind of his way or the highway. But I mean, but
not so much even like if it works as like a finished product, but like the idea of like going in to try to do that. Like, do you think that's not what he was even initially trying for?
It might have. It might have been, but it doesn't work. Like it just doesn't. I mean, Pornography.
It doesn't feel like it, but
it definitely doesn't feel like it. I don't know. We'll get into it throughout the album, but there's so many negative and positive things I have to say about this album. But like after listening to it over the last week at least 15 times, I listened to it 3 times today. I'm just like I'm just like I really don't know how this fits into the trilogy of
like. There's no way when he's what's the trilogy again?
It's Pornography, Disintegration, and Bloodflowers.
Yeah,
but
there's no way when he was writing fucking Pornography, he was like, I have this grand image.
No, and he's not saying that it was like George Lucas, so it was from the start. He's just adding it on. I mean,
I think it was the start of Bloodflowers he wanted to add on to the end of this, not like the beginning of Pornography. But Pornography is such an amazing album, and then you go to Disintegration, and that's equal, or some people might think it's even better. And then you go to this album, it's such a, I don't know, it feels so forced
But even if it's in the same family,
compared to the other two that felt so genuine and
two
like
powerhouses,
yeah.
two fucking
and it's just like
seminal motherfuckers.
It's such a whimper.
And then this,
and it might be forced,
it eases in with this it eases into the album with a whimper, like that's something that caught me off guard. Like I listened to it twice, ramping up for this shit.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, you were really.
You really dove into this, didn't you?
2 hours of your life.
I should have stuck at one because I started questioning myself at listen two. But it whimpers in, it's funny you said that. I felt the same way. It's just it was you don't get to do that. You don't get to put out these two records and then go
Well, Disintegration doesn't come out blazing 100 years. I mean, even Disintegration doesn't sound anything really like Pornography, other than that it's awesome.
No,
it's a fucking.
It doesn't, but
it's the middle. It's the middle of a trilogy, man. It's a breather.
It's got a vibe to it that.
Yeah.
I mean, Pornography has that. The whole thing is consistently just dark, and just it's fucking crazy how good that album is with just three people.
I'm listening to that motherfucker tonight.
But then
I agree.
You go into Pornography or Disintegration, and it's just it's a powerhouse, with all the layering and all the people they have working on that album, and how just amazing that everything goes together, even though it doesn't really have the cohesive nature the same way Pornography does. And then this album, it's just. There's so many things I like about it.
Say it's cohesive.
It's cohesive as fuck, but it's it just feels forced. It's not the same. That's the thing that bothers me, where it doesn't. It's not as genuine as the other two albums. So even the name Bloodflowers is all right, let's try to be dark and depressing.
We'll get to that in a second too. I found out something new on that I wasn't too aware of.
Okay, I got to hear that then.
But yeah, maybe we should just slow down because I mean, it's not so much the idea of if it worked or not, but if that's what he was trying for is what I'm going for initially here.
Yeah,
I'm saying it was legit that he started it, because the thing that I read that I didn't remember, I'm sure I heard it at one point, but apparently when they started recording it, he even made the band listen to Pornography and Disintegration in the studio and said, if we're going to be the best lineup, we have to do something that matches this in intensity level. It's got to be the best album. And he really wanted them to get in the mindset of Pornography and Disintegration. So in that
then they didn't do it.
Well, yeah, but I mean, in your opinion, but at the same time, that's what he's trying to do. We'll get to that at the end if they pull it off or not.
I got this PowerPoint, right? Remember when things were awesome?
Yeah. But I mean, it's a game plan, right? That's a hell of a lot more than he tried with Wild Mood Swings, at least. So, I mean,
but that's part of the problem is that it's a game plan to write. I don't know. I just felt like Pornography and Disintegration were just. I don't know. He sat down and just wrote them to reflect how he was feeling, and not just to add on to something else.
Yeah, and I agree with that, dude, for sure.
Is with talking about the powerhouses and the things they didn't storyboard before, Pornography, where they had dope drum loops, they were just nasty and simple, and so they were storyboarding well, how can we make a record like Pornography drum loops? So they make these fucking drum loops that are throughout the album that are not like Pornography, do not have the same impact. Yes, they're drum loops just like they had.
But isn't that maybe just a nod to it?
I mean, same, and they're
but you don't want him to just rip it off either. I mean, he's trying to do something different at the same time. The way that Disintegration was different to Pornography, you can't just.
But the drum loops are whack.
Yeah,
it's fuck.
All right, I think I know which ones you mean, but we'll get to them. But yeah, you know what I mean, though. I mean, it's kind of whether it works or not, it's hard to say.
It's not the same.
But at the same time, because he's trying to do, because I mean, there were a lot of nods from Disintegration to Pornography, but he didn't try to do Pornography Part 2 with Disintegration. I mean, there's clearly different shit going on. So I mean, I think this is just another attempt at that.
Yeah.
Whether it worked or not, and if anything, that's the part I agree with, is it's too forced, probably, because he is especially coming off of the like wishy-washy of Wild Mood Swings, where everyone's like, what, they're too poppy. So that's the part that always like didn't sit right with me with Bloodflowers at the time. When it came out, I'm like, oh, I like that they're getting dark.
Like, you guys aren't back,
but
it's kind of like the Cure's
so
back,
like,
guys.
It's
like, no, you're not. You're fucking
it's
not.
like, I could be the old me, and it's like, nah, I don't know. But
old fucking man.
Go back to your hockey jerseys.
Yeah, you can't ever go back from the hockey jersey, maybe. I don't know. But at the same time, though, maybe before we launch into the actual songs, I kind of take this, and the reason why I was liking it more now than I did even back then is because maybe it is the next step of, because the whole concept isn't so much that it's part of the trilogy, is that it's like 40, like another age bracket. So maybe it is supposed to be kind of beat down and 40ish, you know what I mean? It feels like 40, as opposed to like Disintegration feels like when you're turning 30, where you still got some spunk, but you're starting to be like, oh, this shit's getting real, and then like Pornography is totally like, young angst and shit, so I mean it does kind of fit when you think of it that way. So I don't know,
from that mindset, I get it from that perspective. I can totally understand it. But at the same time, like going back a little bit, like how they were, like with Wild Mood Swings, they had gone off a path, and they're like, well, we kind of, fans weren't happy with the last album, and we haven't been knocking it out of the park lately. Let's kind of go back to what we looked like before, and what we sounded like before. And I was reading a lot of reviews about Bloodflowers from like 2000, and some of them were like, the Cure's back, like this is what we wanted. And I think there were people that were definitely excited about that, and there were people like I was that was just like, this is fucking, like, you can't go back, I mean, it's like, if you
got to just go back, you can't declare that you're coming back,
It's done. Like you can't do that.
How
again.
Fucking stupid would you look if you were like wearing a mohawk from like 16 to like 25, and then from 25 to 35 you were dressing like a businessman? You're like, well, I don't feel as good as I did when I was younger, so I'm going to go back to wearing a mohawk. And now you're fucking 45, at a show hitting on 16-year-old girls. It's fucking stupid.
Don't you delusion shame me. How dare
you look fucking ridiculous, So
how dare you judge me?
So I see it from, I can like what you just said, like I completely get it, but at the same time I'm still stuck in this thing where I'm looking at it from a different angle. So
it's like I get it, but I don't buy it. Something like that. But
like looking back from it, like from like being like 41, almost 42 in a month or something. And him recording this as a 40-year-old, like, it's definitely kind of heavy. Just like, like, it made me question myself, like, because he's definitely done like way better than me.
Really?
You think?
But it's just like,
how noble of you to put that out there.
This podcast is pretty tight.
The money's rolling in.
Yeah,
don't sell yourself short, though.
But just being like 40 and just like, that's a weird, that's a weird one, man. Like that caught me off guard a bit. Like listening back to it 2 times.
And we saw how hard it hit him 40, turning 30. It was a big deal. So I mean, obviously 40 is gonna be a pretty.
40's fucked up.
Yeah. So I mean, if anything, it should have been a more fucked up album. It should have sounded more like Pornography too, maybe, but. Just because he should have really been diving in, but at the same time, he's like, that maybe the fact that it does sound a little more VH1 kind of makes it fit into the 40 idea a little bit more.
It's like, come down to my man cave, like
we're gonna get sad, but we're not gonna get too sad.
He's got a McMansion, and he's like, I got this recording studio in my McMansion.
Still have responsibilities. I got bills to pay.
Got my own man cave. I got a little microphone over here.
Cool. Well, real quick, before we dive into the actual songs, a couple 2 pre-album dropping points. Going back to the name Bloodflowers, I was right there with you, Chaz. Where like, even at the time of release, I was like, whoa, okay, Bloodflowers, kind of cool. Sounds a little forced, you know. I'm like you just taking two key Robert Smith lyric words and putting them together. You know, it's like it's on par with like Spider Kiss. You know, where it's like that sounds cool. It doesn't mean shit. You know, it's a little goofy, but yeah, he likes both those words. Why not? But I always like thought of that, and I even when I read that Never Enough book, it must have dawned on me. But then somehow when I was looking over it was like really cool because like turns out that like Bloodflowers does have like an actual meaning in a sense. Did you find out any about that?
No.
You guys? Yeah, it's kind of cool. Where it was like another amalgam of like two combined out ideas, you know. And he said it was taken from like a quote of a book of letters from that painter Munch, the Scream guy, you know. He had this quote in there somewhere where it says, "I know that I've done good art when a blood flower pops from my heart," like saying that that's like cool reaction to like beautiful art as a blood flower that blooms from your heart. And then it's also mixed in with the idea from like some World War I book that he was reading, I guess. It was a poem, some World War I poem where it says like a gunshot wound to the chest bleeds like a blood flower on your body, like when you get shot and the blood comes out. So then it's just like that combination of the idea of like painful art or art, you know, like something like that. And it's like, oh, okay, well,
blooms from the heart.
Yeah, so I'm like, that makes me like it a little bit more. You know, it's still a little goofy sounding maybe, but it's like, yeah.
So he took inspiration from the guy that did 3D art in the 90s?
Jesus Christ, Chaz.
I'm just joking.
That was him.
If you look at it, there's a blood flower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I came up with Silkscreen.
Nah, but I mean that kind of made me like it more. And it's like,
but I love
whether it fits into the song Bloodflowers as much, I guess then the theories start to go really out the window. But I was like, okay, cool. But it's like, yeah, as far as like a good name that makes sense, I'm like, all right. Yeah, and he would want it to be like a epic something, and that's something that he keeps touching on, like in all the interviews, and like he's pretty like known for like talking up the new album, whatever it is. Like he always says this is our best album, you know, when it's like, really? Yeah. But like even like way after Bloodflowers interviews where he still like really like is proud of Bloodflowers and stands by it to the point where I'll like, it makes me like it more just knowing how much it means to him, you know, in a fairly sincere way where I'm like, I don't know if I really care about it that much, but at the same time it's like really sweet and cool that it like does seem to really say something that he was trying to say at that time and nails it. So that's kind of cool. So maybe it was a good legit blood flower for him when they made it. And
I mean, good for him.
Yeah, exactly.
Bad for us.
You know?
But you know, maybe that's the point, you know, at that point too, where he's clearly not trying to
I like that. That's nice.
So anyway, the actual album,
happy for the guy.
Yeah, it feels good. But not shit he's proud of. So 11th studio album finally comes out February 15th, day after Valentine's Day, 2000. 64 minutes, 29 seconds, 9 tracks, 10 if you count the like Australian and what was it? Japanese release, I believe. Yeah, had coming up as an extra song. But mostly 9 tracks. Little weird that like versus, because we talked about Wild Mood Swings as far as being too long. It's actually 3 minutes longer than Wild Mood Swings, but 5 songs less. So that kind of shows that coming up there's gonna be some long songs on this album. So but a little weird because like one of his big complaints was Wild Mood Swings was too long, but I guess he meant too many songs. I don't know. So but it does feel, I don't know, it doesn't feel long. The songs feel long, but the whole album
they
doesn't
feel really long.
Yeah, I don't know. And I guess I have a theory going into
I would
that.
lose track and think that it was another song, but it was still the same one.
I had that happen a couple times.
Yeah, that's a good point.
No, I know
I'll
what you're
bring
talking
up
about.
too at some point where it's like it's the first time, maybe it's a good time since we're all on the same page. Where I don't think any other Cure album to this point I've ever like had like where the songs kind of sound like other songs on the album, where you could literally like sing the melodies from one song over like part of another song, you know. And it's like, I think it was something on like 39 is very like close to like Watching Me Fall, or you could just kind of yell like Watching Me Fall over like any part of a lot of the songs, which is great for the cohesive thing. Like we said, going back on Wild Mood Swings, it's like, yeah, it fucking flows like almost too well because it all just kind of feels like same, But
we'll get to it, but yeah, on 39 I had Edge of a Deep Green Sea clone.
Okay.
Like I hear that, like I hear a lot of stuff from that song in this one, but we'll get to it.
Let's start with the artwork. Perhaps that's a good. A lot of people feel strongly towards this artwork and layout. I feel like the layout is way worse than the artwork. But you got any initial thoughts, Chaz, on this cover?
It's fucking terrible.
Not into it.
I'm looking at it right now because I pulled the vinyl out from the shelf. And it's just, it's so fucking pixelated, like on the vinyl. Yeah. I don't know how it is on the CD because I don't have the CD, but
a little smaller.
It's better. It probably looks better, but it's like I hate the font. I think it looks like a little kid drew it, which is okay, but it still looks like a little kid drew it, and just I don't understand why Robert's face is on the front of it. I know it was on the front of...
he looks like Chris Gaines.
Yeah.
On the cover.
Yeah. I know it's on Disintegration, but it's like kind of... It's a little... It's a little hidden, kind of. And like with this, it's like, I'm the band is what I got. I get a vibe from it. Even though I'm sure it's not like that, but it's just...
It's all about me.
It almost would be better if they had somehow mixed it with the image on the back of like that, whatever the hell that blood or paint smear on the back there. Like if they had overlapped it. But the contrast. It's basically like 90s Photoshop.
Oh God, it's fucking terrible.
Blew out the fucking contrast and it just looks so crappy. I mean, I kind of dig like the white, red, and black just visually, color-wise it works. But like you're saying, it's just a weird picture. It looks crappy. It looks like the first draft of something, or like, how about this? And it just seems weird design-wise, like having that font for Bloodflowers go across, but then it's like not. Then it's like a whole nother Cure font for the Cure, which I'm kind of all right with, but it's like you said,
I don't mind the font.
Yeah, it is like that kid font that they'll totally abuse later on the self-titled album. But like, so I mean, it almost works for this, but they should have done something else for that Bloodflowers. It looks weird that it's just like a normal, like standard font for Bloodflowers.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Is it like a throwback to like Disintegration in the cover when he's like under the water and the flowers?
I guess so, but I don't know. It's just.
Other than his face being on it, there's really no other similarity that I can.
He's emerged from the water, and it's really.
I'm in the snow this time.
Everything's white.
All right,
he's emerging from Oprah lighting, like some super white lighting. I'm just gonna move this little level thing up, and it'll do the contrast, and
it is. They just
blow it out.
The contrast, which was huge in the '90s. In their defense, I mean, this is like coming out of the '90s. Like every album cover was like just crazy contrast Photoshop for whatever reason in the '90s. But then the layout, I feel like, is the real fucking crime against graphic design. And like we said earlier, I'm not even like some graphic design snob or anything. It just literally looks like in the CD booklet, it's like a fucking local band or something. It's all like white with black and white pictures. The pictures are fine,
does look like some local band shit.
But the pictures are like blown out and they're stretched to fit the fucking format. So they look all like the one that really was like the beach one on Loudest Sound, where it's like two kids on the beach. The picture's just like stretched, and it's like it still doesn't even fit. Like, why not stretch it down some even? None of it makes any sense. It looks like some like fucking 20-year-old intern did it or something, and like
one of the first digital cameras with
maybe
in-camera effects, and
maybe I just don't realize how far graphic design has come. But I was like, it's so bad.
Oh look, I can blow it up all big.
I can't even tell what half of these pictures are.
Yeah,
is that a is there a butterfly?
There's like a live shot. There's a seashell heart thing, and the pictures could be cool, but they're so like you can't even see what the fuck they are. Like
like
the heart thing, it's like a shells in a heart, and that looks cool or whatever. And the kids on the beach is cool, but like. And even like the Bloodflower picture on Bloodflowers, it's like, that's fine, but it literally looks like a...
You summed it up like when you were describing the pictures of it could be cool.
Yeah, it could be. I mean,
that's all you have to
it's
say.
not the picture's fault.
It could be cool, but it's not.
And you can look at the credits, and I'm not going to call them out, but at the same time, it's like, wherever they are, it's not the photos that are bad. It's not even like the artwork in itself, but I think it's sleeve design.
By Smart.
SM Art Smart. Come on, guys.
That's so cool.
I should do a Google search to see if they're still around.
God.
You got The Cure, man. It's not like you got like Jason Mraz's first album or something. This is like a fucking band. Hey. I'm just saying. Just saying, you know.
Couldn't they have gotten?
They probably deserve a little bit better.
Couldn't they have gotten like Pearl to do this or anything? Or
shit. Pearl could have just like crapped out anything that would have looked better than that. It's like so weird. Even the back, like it's a cool smear of that blood thing, but it's so like contrast blown out again that it looks stupid. It's like ugh. Anyway,
this was
the music.
This was the start of their terrible design work.
You're not a fan from here on out.
No,
I like 413, but
that one's okay, but it's still not that great. Even the same thing with their shirts and everything. They just like totally shit the bed on just about everything afterwards, as far as art, layout, and designs go. Well, there's so many fans that are like artists that you think you'd be able to
that's what I mean.
Find somebody.
Everyone would be willing to do it for free.
Yeah,
you know?
Donate their fucking time.
Yeah.
And you know, like if it was like Pearl doing it and it just was like crappy and they just didn't have the heart to tell them or something, you know, just like I don't know, like Roger really felt passionate about this picture, so we put it in there, but it's not, you know. It's like I don't know. It's Perry's little nephew, man. He worked hard on this design. I was like, oh shit, all right, that's cute. Let's keep it. So that's why I like the self-titled one. It's like whatever. It's like his little nephews and shit doing it, so that makes sense. But anyway,
that is kind of sweet. Like I feel bad shitting on it. That it was like a lot of family like band shit.
Yeah,
like,
it probably is.
And it is really sweet.
It's like. So shifting back to the actual music of Bloodflowers, I guess one of the main concepts before we launch into the songs is the fact that there's, I guess, self-declared no singles, no videos. Sound like he was really soured on like the idea of videos. Part of me
guys, let's not do a good job.
You do kind of wonder, is
let's do
really
zero promotion on this album.
Yeah, it's like no promotion.
Let's do all the things you should do when you make a record.
Yeah, it's like record companies like, oh, awesome, great. So
it's a fucking Cure.
So nothing.
What are you gonna do?
It's like we put out 4 singles, so maybe it does go back to like that whole singles misstep or whatever with Wild Mood Swings. With like, we'll show those fucks. We won't put out any singles, but
show you.
And but of course the radio is just gonna pick any song. So like the UK took the first song that we're gonna talk about, Out of This World, the lead off track, and they kind of made a single out of it. And so even when you're looking online, there's like sort of CD singles out there. But anyway, diving into the songs, Out of This World, first track, 6 minutes 44 seconds. Like you said, it's a soft opener. It's very doesn't come out as harsh as Want or Open. But I mean, Plain Song was a nice kind of gradual, eased you into it. Doesn't feel necessarily initially like a Cure song until he starts singing, maybe. But
it's all breezy.
A little breezy.
I feel like there's like
super chill, reflective, nostalgic. I will say, of my highlights, I love this song. I think it's a nice song. I dig it.
It's purposeful.
I agree.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Cool.
I do like this song.
I think it's got a lot going on. I think it's easy to like listen to it and think it's just kind of boring and doesn't go anywhere if you're not paying attention, but there's a lot. Like I always like brush drums a little bit more than you, Donald, so maybe that was part of it. But at the same time, I don't think the drums really carry it. I think you could totally swap it out.
They don't at all. I think it's like the only non like big room drummy
Yeah.
Well, there's a couple like little brush jams, but that one's like,
yeah,
it's different than the others.
Yeah. I feel like you could totally have swapped it out with like a full on like Tom Heavy Boris kind of beat, and it would make it different.
More dreamy.
Yeah,
like,
you could
like all
do
that
it,
washy,
but,
dreamy sounds. Yeah.
So
dude.
I think it's kind of cool that they chose a different avenue, for better or worse.
I don't. They should have went with what you said. Like,
but I think like it totally fits that 40 idea perfectly. It's all about like looking back one last time before it's over. I mean, it's pretty fucking right there on the table as far as concept that we're doing one last. I mean, this is like, them pretty much.
This is what it is to be 40. God damn, I can't get it out of my head now. like looking back, cause
like I'm about to die. This is it.
God damn it! It's like it's fine.
One last time
like
before I'm not even gonna sing loudly.
I'm gonna get my boys together. I'm like 40 and I can afford like renting a beach house and.
But
go
it's
down
sweet.
Fucking Outer Banks, North Carolina.
He doesn't do like a lot of reflecting
and
though. I mean, and I feel like
reflect about my life being 40.
Maybe, but I mean, I feel like
it's so reflecty. It's so obviously a reflecty fucking song.
Yeah, but I like it for that.
Gross.
He doesn't do too many.
Why would you want to reflect?
Why would he
want to
reflect back on his? Yeah.
I'm gonna joke it because it's like, of course, everyone's gonna write a fucking reflecty song, but it's like such an obvious like, ease it into my 40s, boys.
Yeah, but do it with a good song. He did it, I think. They pulled it off.
I guess.
The piano, I'm always a little torn on.
When it rises up at the end.
The little
like,
frills,
the
little scaly, kind of.
I hated that part.
But it's just.
But I liked what it went into.
Yeah. And I think when they play it live, he does the ding, 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 da, 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 da. I think that's all piano part on that.
Throwing in some whimsical.
So that's cool. And it has that cool little
on that breezy jam,
fuzzy guitar bend that's like.
Fucking love the beach.
So you don't like it? So just tell us what you really feel, Don.
No.
You don't think should they have come out with a harsher song, like one of the heavier tracks right off the bat? You think? Or
you want some yacht rock?
Just fucking watching me fall right out of the gates.
I mean, none of the other songs in the album, like. I mean, I guess if you're gonna start this one with that one, like
you're like, I hate them all, so why not this one?
Yeah, I guess if this is what you're gonna do, that's the appropriate thing to put in the front of this.
Well, what you don't like that it's just too soft, like just kind of soft cure. What don't?
I just don't like. I don't,
just the feel.
I don't like the song structure. I don't like the feel. I don't like how anything sounds.
Wow.
Good lyrics, then. Don't you think?
Like literally, I've listened to this album like 5 times. Like I really don't like it.
Okay. Well, I'm convinced. I mean, you've listened to it 5
the songs, like and break them down really well, because like I'm just like, nah, it's dumb. I don't like it.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
And I really try to not be that way with doing my research.
Yeah, that's okay.
On this and thinking about it, like. I just don't like it. I don't care.
Was it an uneasiness?
It's not
yeah,
that
maybe I
like
shouldn't keep like trying to pry, but is it like an uneasiness of the actual song, or do you just kind of get bored with it? Like,
I don't like the songs.
I
get bored with it. Yeah.
So
like,
both.
I just don't like the songs.
Okay.
Like any negative thing you want to say about this record, I'm gonna agree with. Like there's like a handful of things I like about this record. Like, and it's just like a couple of guitar parts.
Yeah.
Like. Sometimes the drums sound okay. I don't know.
What about
the lyrics are kind of like I don't care. Like I don't think they're good at all.
Yeah,
like,
I think it's cool. I think it's a nice way of like looking back without it being overly like I don't know. I think he sums it up perfectly. Where it's just kind of like. For the first time, because I don't feel like there are many Cure songs like that. Even like Last Dance, you feel like he's in the story a little more and stuff, where it's like this kind of reflective, looking back on something, or and it's always a little more convoluted. This is like literally like Ghost Robert watching his own life kind of thing, and I kind of dig it. It's just a neat little twist.
See, I don't like that, and that's one of the notes I've been making about this record is just like the structure of the lyrics. Because it is like too much storytelling. Like it's lots of like used to be he said, she said,
Mm-hmm.
I said, and then she said, and then it's it's like, I don't know, it's just a lot of that, and I've never been crazy about that like style of lyrics that he got into or whatever. And this album's full of that in it.
Okay.
I don't know.
What do you think, Chad? Since you're a little more
I think
pro.
it's not my favorite song on the album, but I think it might be the best track.
Yeah.
In my mind, I think it opens great. I love the fact that it is kind of moody, and I like that. It's a crying guitar sound that they have going on in like the middle of the song.
Yeah.
So I think that, the piano at the end is meh, but I think overall, I think it might be the best track. I think it's a great opening for the album. So I mean, plain,
it really sums up the whole album really well.
Yeah, like plain
easy into it.
Plain song didn't sound like anything else on Disintegration.
Right?
It was completely in a different stratosphere. So, but I would definitely give this a thumbs up, and I think it's a good way to start the album off.
Yeah, I do think they keep the streak going.
Yeah, with good openers. Yeah,
as far as always a good opener with The Cure, and all right. Well, moving on from this first song, we come right out of the soft, reflective nature real quick. So Donald should be so happy to hear this epic jam, track 2, Watching Me Fall. 11 minutes, 13 seconds of some cool guitar stuff. Lots going on. Long song. I'm not crazy about this song. I'll put that on the table right off the bat. I like the guitars and I like the song, but they should have trimmed this fucker. It feels every minute of 11 minutes long.
It feels like 40 minutes long.
Yeah, God, it just keeps going, and I feel like it definitely just shouldn't be track 2. Like, put it at the end. It's fine. I've been totally fine with it because I like it, but it's just
come in hard.
That's not
well, after that.
Not really.
After that dreamy
song. That's not
I mean, they're kind of breaking all the rules at this
really
point.
Long, intense one.
I don't even think you need to at this point. They're kind of doing whatever the fuck they want. It would be a great place for a single, which is kind of gonna be my reoccurring thing with this album. Is that maybe
slap a jam on that.
Maybe a single would have been nice right there. Yeah, at number 2, because that's kind of the Cure's thing too. You always have their fucking snappy song either first or second at least. And it's just this does nothing.
But they made that goal of no singles.
Yeah, so mission accomplished. Watching Me Fall.
Hey, let's do this thing, but not do anything.
Yeah. And it's something with the story on this one that goes against what you were saying of it's definitely something that he's talking about there. And I've listened to this a billion fucking times, and I don't get ADD feeling much with many Cure songs, but I've always lose interest or attention when listening to the song. Somewhere around the 8-minute mark, I just fucking tune out and I don't know what he's talking about anymore. And maybe a lot of that's my dummy brain or what, but I'm just what the fuck is he talking about now? And it's just none of it seems to really mesh story-wise for me. I don't know
totally.
What the fuck he's getting at, and I just get kind of distracted. I always just get distracted listening to it. I just start
it's so long.
doing something else or picking something up, and I'm oh fuck, I really wanted to focus that time. Even when I specifically want to really sit there and make it through, I can't do it. But I don't know.
That's still a thing.
But it's got tons of cool guitar stuff going on and stuff. He said they tried to trim it. He just never felt it sounded right, so he just kept the whole fucking thing. Yeah, that's a lot of. I don't know. How do you
sound right? Maybe you should just.
It's there's gotta be something you can trim out. It's good God, it's so long. But what do you think, Chaz? Were you on board with this one?
I think it opens great, but it just falls apart about 3.5 minutes in, and I don't like the way he sings it. It's definitely way too long. See, you guys shit all over Edge of a Deep Green Sea because it was too long. but like
that
song is.
I did think it was long.
That song is
nothing compared to this.
I always thought Edge of the Deep Green Sea was like 11 minutes like this, but like,
this song is
clearly not. You can put like 2 of them in this.
Ridiculously too long. Like I was listening to it a couple times and I thought I had gone on to the next song, and I'm just like, fuck, I'm still on this thing. Like, this is ridiculous. And it doesn't go anywhere.
Like by the end, he's just yelling.
Yeah,
it kind of is like a little precursor to like the self-titled album too.
Yeah,
and that's like my problem with a lot of those songs where it's just not too big on like yelling Robert, and like by the end when he's just like no, no, and I'm like, fuck, just bring this thing in, man. We're like 9 minutes in at this point.
I do like the solo in it though. That's about the only redeeming thing.
Cool
Which one?
The fifth one's pretty cool, you know.
Yeah, I mean there is just like tons of guitar shit. Yeah, so it's like, so I don't know.
I wrote like on my notes for this one, it was just like, don't like the lyrics or the cadence, and then added later, song is way too long.
Yeah,
and then I moved on to another song,
but you didn't.
But I didn't. I was still listening to the same song. And I started making notes on like track 3. It said like lots of tippy taps on the drums. Like I think this is a record why like people hate the drummer.
Yeah.
Because he has lots of tippy taps. Like there's just lots of little cymbal splashes where he's just like boom.
Maybe.
Like all over the place. But it's a big song and like he plays it well.
Yeah.
But it's one of those songs where it's just like this is really long and
like you said, it just feels long though.
Man.
Like
it's a long motherfucker, man.
Because some songs, you know, like you're saying, Edge of the Deep Green Sea is great in the sense that like the whole thing goes by, and it never feels as long as it is, and like just whatever like long.
I'm gonna take back a lot of things I said about Edge of the Deep Green Sea after listening to this fucker.
Yeah, it's everything that doesn't work.
I had relationships that were shorter than this song.
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah, for sure.
I smell soup.
Yeah, too much, man. And just definite track too. How would you feel about it being like not? This will fit into our revisionist episode better, but like the idea. I mean, like, is the last track or something? Yeah,
definitely.
Like put it as some fucking crazy. Yeah. Even though I love Bloodflowers as the last track, but I mean, go fucking nuts at the end of the album. Don't do it like right in the fucking prime spot, you know?
Yeah, because
ease into it. If you're gonna start off wispy, like ease into some shit.
You're trying to go on a journey, and like you're stuck in this long, flat, boring car ride. It's just like not going anywhere.
And like you said, it starts out great, you know, and it starts out where you're not like from the start. You hang in there for like 6 fucking minutes. I'm like, all right, we're going somewhere.
I'm giving you all I have.
It's like one of those road trips where like by the 6th hour you're just like, all right, god damn, this sucks now.
Like, I don't have enough gas to get to the fucking...
Can I get out?
Are we still in Iowa? This is ridiculous.
Like how long is this state? But, cool.
It's like I look at my wife and I'm like, are we still a thing after like 12 years? Just like this record is just fucking.
Well, I think we're on the same page with that one then. Let's move on to the next track and see if we can bounce out of this. And this might be my problems, and then I promise I'm going to get more positive. But So the next track 3, Where the Birds Always Sing. Not another short song, 5 minutes and 44 seconds. I mean, it's not overly long compared to the last one, but still not like a snappy one.
Is this the Matchbox 20 one?
I would never put that on The Cure, even on their worst, but that probably has more to say.
I think it might be the next one, but one of them is like a very much a Matchbox.
That song Push?
One's, yeah.
I think so. It was kind of funky. It was kind of funky. It
yeah,
was like
that's probably jam. This one. The world is neither just
funky.
nor unjust. Yeah. And that's, I think,
Makes me want to eat boneless wings. It's so basic.
You don't like the song?
I don't like this one.
Oh man.
Yeah. And I feel like it is what it is, and I don't feel like negative towards it, but I just don't like it. Like it's like a.
It is what
Wow.
it is, man.
I feel like it's plotting again, and it's just like I jotted down I must have been channeling Donald. I was like, it's like a not particularly cute dog chasing its own tail, you know, like because I feel like when it starts getting into
it's like an ugly baby.
Yeah,
it's like something that would normally be cute, but you're just like.
Yeah, I just feel like it's the world is not, and then it's like, and then the chorus doesn't go anywhere when he's like, and this is why, blah blah blah, and it just doesn't, yeah, and I don't like that rhythm, mostly the guitar, like the jingy jingy you know, and it's just like, yeah, I mean, I'm not like super anti again, but the combo of that and Watching Me Fall, I finally fucking narrowed it down to is my huge dislike of any like uneasiness with Bloodflowers is that like when you put a 6-minute song after a fucking almost 12-minute song, it's like that's the whole first like 17 minutes of the album that I like don't feel that great about, you know, and I'm just like because I pretty much love the rest of the album from here on. It's just like that. It's like
where's the 3-minute jam?
Yeah, like if they had just fucking put maybe someday like after Out of This World, I'd be happy. But yeah, I don't know, and I feel like a lot of people probably are cool with Where the Birds Always Sing, because there isn't really much to technically hate about it. I feel like it is just a preference not liking as opposed to just some kind of critical
weird bass line.
I kind of like the bass line. I think that if that was the one, because I did make a note, it was like most of it works, but then for some reason I didn't really like the lyric stuff and just that funky rhythm-ish. But, so you're down with it, Chaz? You cool with it?
This is my favorite song on the album.
Let me just.
I mean, I'm a big Matchbox 20 fan.
Yeah, okay.
Especially that Santana song they did. So
yeah. Finally,
he has soul. That's how you know he has soul.
Yeah, I love the music in this song. I don't know what it is.
Are you joking?
I'm absolutely serious. And I love the piano at the end of the song. I like how it fades off. Like I don't.
Yeah.
I feel like a complete idiot now.
No, that's kind of what I was trying to articulate. Was like I get why it wouldn't. I feel bad bashing that one where I don't so much with Watching Me Fall because it's like, come on, man, fucking 11 minutes. But like this one, I feel like it's got everything that I normally would like, but it's just a preference, something. And that's been like a relatively new thing where I didn't always like feel really uneasy about it, but like listening to it this time, like. Every time I was like, it just needs something right after Watching Me Fall. and it's definitely not this fucking song. Is what I just felt like too much pressure was put on it, maybe, like coming right after Watching Me Fall.
Maybe.
I was like, all right, let's see what's going on now.
You start feeling uncomfortable.
I was just like, really? All right. It's like,
I like when records make me feel shitty.
Yeah.
Like, I like those songs.
I do like that little riff, actually. I don't like the rhythm part before it, but the it's kind of cool. It comes like in between each little like progression, but yeah, I don't know. And I used to always like the lyrics, but they just kind of rub me the wrong way.
Lyrics are the worst. Like the melodies are the best on that, and most of the record. Like I think like It's Saving Grace is like an okay like record. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of like little guitar riffs, a la Disintegration. And shit. Like
tons of cool basic stuff going on. Dang.
Yeah, just real like I don't know, they have such little riffs, so I'm like, why weren't you doing that the whole time?
Yeah.
I think what changed my because like a lot of like going back on the whole album, I kind of wrote it off back in 2000 where you know I just didn't like it, and a lot of it's been taking the Wild Mood Swings and just revisiting it as you get older, and liking, you know, finding stuff here that you like here and there. Just with this song, I was reading a review about it like a couple months ago, and where somebody compared it to 100 Years off of Pornography, just the lyrics wise, you know, how he says it doesn't matter if we all die, and like compared it to saying, you know, the world is neither fair or unfair. It's just like a different mindset of
Yeah.
where you're
Different
coming
angle.
from as you get older, you know.
Like being 40.
Yeah, absolutely. Like in like
It's not just
in
as opposed to
yeah, it you know, the world is, you know, it sucks, but it's not. It's I don't know. It's not. It's
It's
not
not the
purpose.
worst.
It's not
yeah.
purposeful that it's like the way it is. You know, it's just how it is. And
Yeah.
it like kind of opened my eyes where I just like sat down and like listened to the song a couple times, and I kind of fell in love with it, and then the piano part at the end kind of solidified it for me. So just how it
Right
kind of
on.
just like went off. So
Yeah.
I mean, just hearing you trash the song, I was just like, okay, I kind of know where you're coming from, cause I was, you know,
It's not all
but I
bad.
think just like this was the one song I think in the whole album where I actually sat down and like took it in more than the other
Observe.
ones. Uh,
Okay.
but
Yeah, I have
yeah,
one later
Candle
that I normally
Monet.
didn't, and I
yeah,
felt that way about this time around. And
it's probably the
yeah,
only song
it's
where
weird. And I think that's uh
I think it's the only song in the album where my perception changed so harsh from like from one mindset to the other on how I used to
yeah,
feel and
Yeah,
how I feel
dude.
now. I'm pretty much my my grading of the whole album's kind of changed too, but not
yeah,
as much as it did with that one song. So
right. Yeah, it's a cool point because like I definitely feel that way too. Like it's especially later Cure albums, anything like I don't know. I just feel like this one has changed. It has so much more push and pull, where there's stuff that I do come back on certain days and like it more than others. And as an
Yeah.
album as a whole, I like it so much more
yeah,
now than I did when it came out. And like maybe it is because I'm older or what, but like it just had
I
maybe the bar
agree.
was set so low or something initially that I'm like every time I listen back to it, I'm like, oh yeah, it wasn't as bad as I thought
yeah,
it was. Like that part's cool and it is really weird and it's fun and I love that about it in the sense that it's like so many Cure albums I just know I love,
yeah,
where each time I might get something different out of it still every time I listen to it and I have and that's kind of cool and exciting because it's like, it is an older album now
yeah.
somehow,
It's
it's
like
like
you're hating on some shit from like was it like 20
Oh
years
my
ago
god,
or
yeah,
something.
yeah.
yeah,
Like,
so
I spent so many years shitting on this album,
yeah,
and
I
like
know.
just revisiting it, like I don't feel bad for shitting on it because there's a lot to shit on about it, but
Yeah,
there's a
exactly.
ton of redeeming stuff I think in the album that I overlooked for years.
yeah,
So
Yep.
same thing with Wild Mood Swings too. Like going back on that, but
yeah,
I mean there's a lot of shit in there, but there's also a lot of stuff that like I kind of like
Overlooked.
now, like or yeah, definitely
yeah,
overlooked, like Strange Attraction. Like we talked about that in the last one, like
yeah.
how I thought, you know, I didn't like that song, but now I kind of actually really like that song.
Dig
So
it.
yeah,
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 that's cool. It's
so
totally.
good when there's some wiggle room
yeah,
with a song, It's like, okay.
happens when you turn
Uh,
40.
well, moving on to track 4. This was the next honorary single. Maybe someday the U.S. took this one. And a lot of weird shit with this song. This is a another 5-minute jam, so not particularly snappy and short, but chosen as the single. There's some weird stuff where during some interviews I was watching, he was saying it's not supposed to have any singles, but this got picked up by the radio anyway, and it's on track to be the highest ranking Cure song in the U.S. ever.
Get the
I don't
fuck
know what.
out.
What song is this?
Maybe someday. He must have just said thought it was like on track to do that because it like basically let's see it only made it to 16. I know like everything else like 2 and Friday I'm in Love and Love Song didn't come anywhere close to that, so I don't know what the hell numbers he was talking
What
about,
fucking
or
song is
maybe
this?
somebody crossed over alt charts, but maybe someday. It's kind of the more guitar-y one.
I don't remember hearing this song at all. Like I
No,
don't.
yeah,
There's a bunch of piano in it. That's all I know, but that makes no sense. That is
yeah, it did pretty good. I think it must have been like because around that
what
time
charts?
they started.
This is
Yeah, that's
early
I mean. It
internet
was probably like
charts,
alt
man. This
rock,
is some dumb shit.
alt rock charts. Like when it started splitting into the MTV,
like a college station.
Yeah, it might have been like the 120 minutes top 10 or something. Remember, they started just kind of splitting everything up so much by like the end of the 90s that you don't really know. So maybe he was just misinformed, but like, just tell him it's a hit. But anyway, I'm cool with the song. I like this one. I think it's a pretty cool tune. I always thought it was a little too long again. It drags a bit, which makes me sound like I just only like short songs, which isn't true. There's plenty of long songs, but I feel like it just loses steam. Finally, and gonna go on more on it in the next one with a deep cuts episode from Bloodflowers. But there is a radio edit that trims it down to 4, and it sounds great. So I'll send that to you guys at some point. Yeah. It actually is like way better.
What did they cut out of it?
Like, I don't know. I haven't really done, because I just got it like 2 days ago, but I knew that I liked it. I couldn't even really pinpoint, because for years I've been trying to figure out where they should cut it, because it needed to be cut, but I couldn't figure out.
The fourth chorus.
Because the end is kind of cool, it kind of does build well, but there's just like a whole like kind of middle section that's a little too long, and I could never figure it out. But like I felt like this one kind of just jumps to like that little organ solo. It's kind of cool. And it has like a few little weird little lasers and shit in the mix that aren't in the normal one that don't really help it or hurt it. But I feel like it just being 4 minutes long makes it so much more like a single, like a cool rock song that this album totally needs, like just something
like, hey guys, you made a record. I mean, if you want a single, I mean, you don't have to. I mean, they literally made a single.
Yeah, something a little snappier to wake you up, So, I mean, I feel like it's a cool song for that. I think it's
let's cut this one down to make it a single and not put it out.
Yeah, so.
And then they didn't put it out.
Yeah, so some fucking intern probably just made this and was like, here, put this up.
Yeah, the only thing
I made the artwork for the record. And I cut down this.
Who's running this ship now? What the hell's going on?
I can see it went up to 10 on the U.S. modern rock tracks chart.
Modern rock chart.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like going like 2000, I don't remember ever hearing it on the radio. Like even college stations, I don't.
Yeah,
that's weird. Like what they like the charts that they played in malls.
Who
like
knows?
I don't even know in malls.
It's college rock, like.
Yeah,
but
I think it'd be more college rock than anything. Music. That's so weird.
I don't know.
They played it on Conan O'Brien. I think that was the only like kind of talk show they toured.
So like that, so that kind of crowd, like in 2000 Conan O'Brien when. Yeah, I could see that.
Right on.
Nah, they're all Dave Matthews Band at that point.
Probably.
Saying.
Yeah, but
they're all dick deep in hacky sacks, man.
Totally.
Like, the Caribbean, like I'm 40 and this is a really important record.
But as far as the actual song,
no one gave a shit.
Roger's keys, I'm a little torn on again on this one. They're nice and fancy, but I think I'm just not really like ever eased into like complicated keyboard parts on Cure songs. It's always a little weird. I like the little, Lil Robert riffs, like on keyboards where you could kind of pluck them out with 1 or 2 fingers, but it's like it definitely fills it out great. And he's amazing, but at the same time it gets a little
good
frilly.
layering.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of, and that's why Roger's complicated, because he's so good that he's doing the atmosphere with
all
like
the disintegration.
Yeah, but I mean, he wasn't really writing a lot of those parts, I don't think. Homesick was like kind of the one where he would like cut loose and stuff. But yeah, but at the same time, like the riffs, and that's why I feel like on this album too, there's a lot of that, even like Out of This World, like the ding 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 ding. That's probably like a little plucked out thing Robert came up with in the demo, and then he plays it, and he plays it awesome. But then he's adding in the other like the frill parts, but he's also doing like the strings and shit with the other hand. Yeah. That's why he's awesome, because he's doing like the atmosphere and the fucking riff, and then he'll throw in his little frilly parts and stuff, which that's the part I'm a little unsure of. And they sound so good and make it sound so full that I would rather have that than not have it. But at the same time, comparing it to old school Cure stuff where it's just full on kind of thing, I'm like, that sounds cool.
I think it just speaks more to everybody's input in the band, how it might have shifted from everybody else having a part in the band compared to Robert just pretty much writing everything.
Yeah.
So, which I don't know. Like, I know we got into that before a couple times, but yeah, it just seems.
Yeah.
It seems like it's getting like, I don't know. Like I don't hear. There's times where you hear Simon in this album, but like
yeah, it's so hard to
since like
say.
Wish, I don't like hear like
I got the vibe.
There's,
Yeah,
like,
he
some-
like I don't hear him blowing me away at all. Like, and it's not him. I'm just saying, like,
man.
I feel like he had more of an input.
It's all Robert's
Yeah.
vision.
Yeah.
Like, if you want Robert's vision of, like, this is his solo record, like, argument we like, not argument, but something we brought up multiple times in the podcast. And this is another example to me where it's like almost this is a more envisioned, like, his solo album, like,
Yeah.
what it would be.
Yeah.
Like, because, like, Simon's shit is something I really took note of. There was no, like, Simon bass line, and he was doing things like little slidey parts. Like, he was playing great.
Yeah.
As was everyone in the band were, like, playing their tits off. Like the drummer is great and Simon was great, but it's not like a Simon bass line. Like, there's, like, weird slidey parts. So, like, you're going into that like the bonus chorus like that, Simon. You know?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it's.
because there's like 40 choruses in every song, and like,
Yeah.
it's a lot. It's a lot for a band to do, and they nailed it. But it's not.
But I think what you
It doesn't sound like
what you
them.
said in the beginning, like how he had everybody sit down and we're gonna listen to this, like gonna listen to Pornography and Disintegration, and we're gonna build off of that. But I think he already had. There's a problem of like already deciding what you're gonna do. That like I already think he had it in his head what he was gonna do. You know, where
for sure.
Try to get everyone on board.
trying to get everybody on board with what he wanted to do instead of having a combined group effort of creating something. So, but
that makes
but we
sense.
digress. I just had a question.
No worries. No, that makes sense.
Absolutely, dude.
Yeah. Well, after maybe some days where the Australian and Japanese versions had coming up, but we'll skip that for now and move on to the next track, which is my favorite one on the album. We already even did an episode on it, The Last Day of Summer. It's just a beautiful, nice, sad Cure song, but like I think it's great. It could probably get overlooked because it's kind of buried in there in the middle. I feel like that should have been a little more prominently displayed, but I think it's a really cool song. 5 minutes 30 again, which seems to be about the average rate around here as far as song length. Yeah, I just feel like it's sweet. It has like a cool bass 6 part. I feel like it's like the closest Disintegration caliber song on the album, but I don't know. What do you guys think on that one? It's kind of acousticy. Donald probably don't like it for that reason, but what do you think?
Is this the he said, she said?
No.
This is like trying to think. What
Then
would
I
be
have nothing to add to this song.
It's talks about the last day of summer a lot. Let's see.
It never felt so. He rhymes cold and old again.
Yeah, it is kind of a go-to, but
I just I don't know. Like I like the song, but it's just boring. Like I don't know what it is. Like I got lost between The Last Day of Summer and the next song. It's like where I didn't know which one was going on. Like I look up and I'm just like, oh, it's the next song. When did the last one end? I gotta go. I had to go back and replay it like 4 times when I was listening to it the other day. Where I'm just like, okay.
Is this the one where he says used to be?
Yeah. Oh wait.
Like things used to be.
Yeah. It used to be so easy.
Yeah.
Now I don't try. Yeah.
Like how many times has he done that?
I like it.
It's just,
that's why I like it.
I like it.
It's like used to be.
It's like give me some of the
used
old
to
shit.
I like his early stuff when he's like, I hope to be.
It's reflective. He's 40, man.
Yeah, man.
It's like, fuck yeah.
That's the whole point.
There's nothing left after this.
And it's like,
I can't wait till I'm 60. What is it gonna be?
It used to be this. Like, right.
It used to be so easy. That's what, like the whole concept. It's like it seems like a relationship song on the surface, but then you're like, oh fuck, man, this is like about music, man. He's like talking about how he used to be able to just like crank this shit out, and now it's like
make a good record.
Well, maybe, but I mean, even that, it's a song about the struggle of
the
summer of your youth and shit. You know, I mean, that's fucking.
She said your record sucks, and then I said,
"No, it's a different one.
Doesn't.
It's a different one." You can make that joke in a few minutes.
Oh, that's
hold that one.
song.
Put it in your pocket.
Hold it.
Keep it there.
But
the lyrics
the guitar
are a whole
parts
problem on this record for me. Like,
yeah,
it's
I like the lyrics overall.
Like,
I think the lyrics overall are pretty decent.
Yeah, I like
the cadence is balls. Like the songs suck.
There are some songs where
you always say you never care about lyrics, so why do you even matter?
Like when I hear these lyrics,
Donald,
I'm
what
like,
the fuck
write
are you
it
talking
down
about?
and put it. Like when I hear the lyrics on this record, I'm like, write it out, like print it out and put it out as like a fucking book or something. Like
it's all written out in the liner notes. You didn't see that?
Yeah,
the pixelated liner notes.
Keep that on your coffee table.
Yeah, I just don't want to hear that.
Blow it up even more, like make it bigger and make the artwork even worse. I'll give this song. I'll have to be in the right mood to listen to it, but I think it's okay. I think it's a good song. It was boring to me at the moment when I was listening to it. So
okay, yeah, I can see that for sure. So I'll take that. But yeah, it might just be at the moment because I have switched, but I think it is my favorite one on the album. So maybe it's my Where the Birds Always Sing.
It's probably a better song than I picked. So.
I love those little riff parts, like the guitar parts of those bass six parts are great. It's like that. I mean, it's that kind of go-to obvious Cure stuff, but they didn't have any of that really on Wild Mood Swings, so it was kind of nice to hear those again, like just those little.
They didn't have a lot of stuff on Wild Mood Swings.
Yeah, so just a little that little kind of like. I love that shit. But let's move on.
And that was like when they had their dry erase board. Like the dry erase marker board, and they were like, what was dope about this record? Bass sixes. Okay, we'll use this on this one.
Yeah.
For the trilogy shit.
All right, next song. There's no if, ... Short song. We finally got a 3-minute 45. This is a weird one. It does blend way too much into Last Day of Summer, so I totally see that, or they shouldn't have just put that there. I think it's just bad placement, but I like it, but I don't love it for some reason. And it's a weird one. There was like quote wise, he said, and it kind of goes back to what we were saying. It was the only one he didn't write. He said initially on the album, meaning I think where it wasn't taken from like a demo, like how we had like this discussions on the last few albums where they had like a demo and then he would they'd all kind of build on it. So I think this was like somebody's demo, maybe. But then in the same breath, he also was quoting saying, but he wrote it when he was 19, and he's been like trying to fit it in for years, and it just never fit, and now it finally fit to this one.
Interesting.
So I don't know how the fuck he
I
never.
I could hear that, and I noticed that nuance. I'm like, this is like him 19 shit.
Huh. So.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's how I would interpret that. That maybe it was a song he had like melody and some words, or something that he was holding on to, but then like musically like a demo, maybe a Simon demo or something. It was the only one that he was able to build on that, and it finally fit.
Yeah,
so, I don't know.
It's
that weird drum loop.
I can look at the lyrics and see how they're not like if you're going with a reflective, like I'm 40 kind of look. The lyrics don't really fit. They're definitely more of a younger,
youthful,
and optimistic.
Yeah,
this time, the whole like first time I said I love you and stuff like that. It's like,
I can see that
going back to like kid love or something.
Yeah.
But maybe in the grand scheme of things, it's another one where it like clearly is painting some very personal story.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I don't get it. What is he talking about? Like,
is this the back and forth one?
If I die, you said.
You said so do I. You said.
Yeah. Yeah,
he's done that
I think
a bunch,
that's the one you're talking about. Yeah,
I think it might be the first time I've heard the word sneezed used in the song.
Yeah. True. Yeah, there's some great lines in there. I'm not sure, like, if the whole...
she sneezed, and then I said, bless you.
Like I said,
she said, thank you, and then I said, you're welcome, and then...
Yeah,
That's like
it's
song, right?
It's like I like all the pieces, but I don't know if I like the whole puzzle somehow. You know, and it's like it's kind of weird for me in that regard.
Yawned at this one. The big old bored. Like I've heard this 1,000 times.
It was definitely boring.
It's more acoustic-y, so I could see you not liking that because it like even though there's like a little drum loop, I believe, on this one, it's got the like and there's technically I'm not sure what the hell's going on in the bass, but I was watching Trilogy just while I was making some notes for the song, and it's really fucking weird. Like Simon, at least from the Trilogy DVD, I don't know what they normally do for it, but he didn't play bass on it. He played the bass 6, which is close, but he would only do like the riff, and then he would like rest and not almost like what he does for like Plain Song, but he does that on normal bass. But he would just kind of do the guitar riffs, and it wasn't even like there was any massive Roger like left hand strings bass going on. So it's almost like a acoustic song, really. Like where it's just really stripped down. He was just like playing like an extra guitar part, and it just didn't really have a bass on it. It was really weird.
If there's like a little drum loop thing.
Yeah.
And then
this one's pretty loopy on the record.
You have a drummer that could play along to that. There's like a bunch of shit in that drum loop. It's not just that.
Yeah,
drum loop.
maybe
it's
that's
like,
what it is. There's some.
You have some like low end bass shit, and
yeah.
he's just like rocking some little bass 6 riffs on top of that shit.
Yeah, so it's kind of cool, but at the same time, yeah,
no, it's not.
I mean, it's cool that they're doing
It's
something
not
different
cool.
performance-wise. Everyone where he's not playing them.
Shit's whack.
There you go. But I've never been crazy about this song. It doesn't bother me. I'll take boring Cure over annoying Cure any day. Or it's just like, all right, and it's just like if he's not just like fucking yelling some nonsense, it's like, okay, cool.
I would take this song over just about almost anything off the South Side.
Me too. So some foreshadowing there, but
that's gonna
cool.
Be a fun episode.
Well, maybe. Yeah, we're all just people are like, God, they're shitting on everything
Soul
here.
Asylum had a thing where like the dude did a trumpet solo in that Frustrated Incorporated song.
Whoa,
that shit was better than anything.
Soul Asylum?
Soul Asylum?
Oh.
Yeah. There's a Soul Asylum song.
One Soul Asylum song is better than any song on Bloodflowers?
Yes.
Okay.
And like live,
it's a good song, but I don't know. I don't really get
trumpet solo.
Welcome to Runaway Train, the All Soul Asylum podcast.
Yeah. And it starts now. Hey guys, welcome to Runaway Podcast.
Oh shit.
We can get artwork with our faces all in milk cartons.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's it. Oh god.
It's like
that's good.
I mean, I love Soul Asylum, but it was a little weird that it just started in the middle of a Bloodflowers episode. Seems like they could have just finished that episode first.
Man, we could just rip on Dishwalla for fucking. That'd be dope.
The Loudest Sound, track 7. We're almost on the home stretch, guys.
There's only 9.
Track 7, The Loudest Sound. Another 5-minute jam. We're back to this one. Feels like a drum loop too. I think there's some. It has that huge on every hit. Again, like watching it on Trilogy. I'm not sure what the hell they did on the recording, but it's like a bass effect. So every like kind of big bass hit sound, it goes like that. So which is kind of cool, but it gets a little annoying that it's like through the whole fucking song.
It's a terrible beat, and it sounds fucking dated. That really took me back of like, this is some 2000 shit.
It's definitely not the loudest song, but...
Nah.
No, it's not even.
I'm expecting to turn it on and blow out my speakers.
Some weird sound choices. Yeah, this is like definitely the only production questionable, like around what? Because it's kind of like a cool sad song, like I really like get the sad part of it, but like they're just playing like this like that. It's like, what the fuck? Again, tons of basic stuff that's really cool on it, riff wise. In between the verses in particular, it's really good. Good lyrics, but another weird one I noticed on the Trilogy, he's like really fucking about to lose his shit singing it. Like Robert's like feeling it like big time, like looking like he's about to tear up and shit, which is strange because it's like good and sad lyrics, but I mean like nothing that he hasn't
now I'm gonna have to go back and
through before.
watch all that stuff.
Yeah, man, it's really
I
fascinating.
usually skipped over the Bloodflowers portion of it.
Yeah, I would always try to make it and just be like, well, I kind of saw Disintegration. Just kind of pick my highlights. But yeah, I was kind of.
I don't need to see any more of this.
I didn't recall him being that like fucking full on, like visibly kind of like just into it. I was like, whoa, geez, man, he's like feeling this shit. Like,
I mean, when you're 40, like you start losing testosterone.
That's what it's about.
Like you get very emotional. Like
whatever the reason, it's legit, man. He's feeling it on this one. So it made me like it more. This has been my one that when you were kind of saying about where the birds always sing. Where now when I was listening to it, I was like, this song's pretty fucking rad. I still questionable about that weird effect on the thing, but it is a really good song. Like if you stripped it down and like, I don't know, I feel like the pieces are again very cool.
Is this the one with the electronic part in the front at the beginning of the song?
I think that's what it is. Yeah, because that's what I said.
It's just different.
Yeah,
like it's just something different that you don't really.
Yeah, because otherwise it would have been just kind of like a knockoff Disintegration type. It's the whole like side by side in silence. And it's just kind of like, but I mean, it isn't like overly like, whoa, he hasn't gone in this territory with his sad lyrics, but if it is like, if you could sing all of Disintegration without totally, I mean, I guess he gets pretty emotional every. I don't know, but he's an emotional guy. Let's be honest.
I would have liked him to go something like, almost like Joy Division Atmosphere kind of.
Yeah.
Like this, where it was just really, really slow, and just I don't know. I think it would have worked. I think it would have worked out really well. So
I can see that.
It's hard to say. I feel like this one out of all of them, something else could have been
like
done.
Chilled the song out a little bit.
Yeah,
like,
it's pretty fucking chill though. Strangely enough, 39 already had its own episode way back early on when I turned 39. I did a little crazy rant.
Did it really?
About 39? Yeah, it was like episode like 8 or something.
I don't remember that.
It was and I kind of mixed it into a Bloodflowers general quick review because I figured it was like, Donald's never going to want to talk about Bloodflowers, so I might as well talk about it now.
No.
I probably skipped over it too because I didn't want to hear about Bloodflowers either, but.
Yeah, it was like a real short one. I think it was like barely a half hour, and it just talked about 39.
It's shorter than
Bloodflowers.
It's long.
Shorter than Out of This World, or no? Watching Me Fall.
Thank you.
And even weirder, when Donald turned 40, I came down to Richmond. His birthday's on New Year's Eve, and we were gonna podcast right before he turned 40 for an episode. So I was like making him listen to 39, I was like, you're not gonna be 39 anymore, man, you're 40. Like we were both, I can't even blame Donald. It was just so incoherently ridiculous. And like I got back home, I was like, yeah, we can't use.
And I was all like, I just want a 69.
Yeah,
and you're like, no, we're gonna 39. I'm like, what's a 39?
Listen to it though, it's a pretty cool song actually. You're like, this is bullshit. Wow, I'm in party. So pretty much like tonight, but at the same time, But so here we are at 39. One more attempt. Did you get any further on it this time, Donald? Did you?
No, I don't remember that, and I don't remember the song.
It's just too far
I
down
thought this song was Bloodflowers. Like the last one.
Yeah, no.
And I was like, why would you end on this one?
No, we're not there yet. Back up a little bit.
Yeah. But that's
oh, you thought it was Bloodflowers?
Like
it did blend together.
It was a good song to end on. I thought at the time, like it would be okay if the record ended with this one.
This one starts out with like more like a heavy drums and shit, and like the fire's almost like out. There's nothing left to burn. And it's aggressive, Robert. I think that's always nice to when it works.
Yeah, it definitely.
Like I feel like this song sums up everything that Watching Me Fall didn't. So like why even have it? Just because he's like a little more aggressive and stuff. Even though totally different song, but like. I don't know. I like it on this one. I think this song's cool.
Yeah, I really like the song. But like I said, I think it's if the Edge of a Deep Green Sea had like a little brother, like I think this would be it.
This would be it. Yeah, little buddies.
Yeah, I think I even went back and listened to Edge of a Deep Green Sea, and I kept finding similarities between the songs, just with some of the stuff that was going on in it. So,
lyrically,
no,
or
not really
musically?
lyrically. I mean, there's references to fire in both the songs, but
This sounds like a conspiracy theory.
There's something about
I love it.
Something about three in each of them. 39. Oh my god.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Oh my god.
I think we're on this.
3 times 3 equals 9, and there's a 3 already in there. 39. Oh my god. We cracked it.
Slow down. I better
we
get
cracked
some
it.
paper.
Hold on. Get the strings and get the push board back up.
The big revelation is like he was 39 when he wrote this.
Oh my god!
Wait a minute. It's like, yeah.
Oh shit! That's it. That's it. That's how trivial this shit is.
Well, yeah, that's the point.
They like 39, 40. I didn't put it together till now.
Oh,
damn
Jesus,
it,
Donald, for
Chaz,
real?
you cracked the code.
You're just putting it
But
together.
it literally is that dumb.
Yeah,
Get
man,
it,
you're just putting
40.
it together. That's why I made you
Yes,
listen
I
to
am.
it, like on your fucking birthday before you turned 40. Jesus Christ.
Donald, I think you got some leftover trauma from when you turned 40 that we need to work out here.
Yeah, he is like, just blocked it all out.
It's just a number, dude.
That's what you say on the outside, but that's not what you feel on the inside.
But I'm not putting on a record about being 40. And I'm not like turning 40 and naming the song 39. I made a mental note to not like make a reference to how literal
Yeah.
the fucking song names are.
But he doesn't say 39
And I
in the song.
overlooked this 39 40 shit.
How did you overlook
And-
that? That's like the most obvious.
Because I wasn't looking for it. And
It's like the whole
so
concept
little,
of the
it's so
album
dumb.
is turning 40. Oh, well. It's a good rock
the
song.
lyrics
I
on
think.
this are great. Whew.
But
Wow.
don't you think the fire, in a sense, careful around Donald with this, the metaphor, maybe the cure itself is the fire, and there's nothing left to burn and keeping the fire going. So, I mean,
There you
it's,
go.
what do you think of that,
That's-
Donald? Just think about that for a minute.
I think he's
That's-
he's planned out his death at
Yeah.
at what 78, because he says half of my life. So I think he's planned out, that he's gonna kick the bucket at
78.
78.
Yeah, it's a good run.
Yeah, it's a good run.
Good.
Yeah, it's cool.
I didn't know this
Can't really
record was
argue,
about
yeah.
math.
Tour the U.S. one more time. We'll you can go.
I think by that point I'll even be ready to.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, we'll let you. Bloodflowers, 7 minutes, but this song doesn't feel long at all.
No, it doesn't.
I think I love this song.
I don't think either of
This
these
is
two songs feel 7 minutes at all.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I guess 39 was 7
Yeah.
minutes too. Yeah, jeez. Yeah, both those work, man. The fucking Cure's great at that. When it works, it works. No time passes, but yeah, I love Bloodflowers. I think the song rad. I feel like again, it's a very kind of could have worked. You could have definitely tweaked it a little more to like make it sound more disintegration-y,
Yeah.
but I'm glad they didn't. But yeah, it's got a lot of cool guitar parts. The lyrics are cool, especially once you kind of dive into the whole Bloodflowers concept more. I think.
But there's like no story. There's no.
What do you mean? There's no
He's
story?
turning 40.
That's the whole point. Yeah, you
9
didn't catch
doesn't
that
go
yet?
into 40. Right?
Jesus.
If we're doing math.
We're starting over. We got Donald
Wait.
didn't get the message. But
Don't get me
anyway,
started
it's
on math. But
no, we'll stay away from the math at this point. But yeah,
In some alternate dimension, it could.
as far as threes though, I feel like my 3 loves of this album are Bloodflowers, Last Day of Summer, and Out of This World, which is a little weird because it's the first, the middle, and the last track. Are like the ones that really.
And that's three.
that
That's
I
three
can-
songs.
and on that 9.
Interesting.
Yeah, consistently always love those 3 with this album. Then like other ones kind of float in and out at different times. But yeah, I love this song. I feel like it's really cool. That bridge is amazing when it gets to the part where it's just like the between you and me. That's like, I mean, he's not saying anything that hasn't been said before, but it's like just fucking cuts great. Like they're really good at when he does deliver an amazing bridge. That's pretty rad. I don't know. I just feel like it's good. It builds really well, even when he starts kind of shouting it by the end.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know.
definitely. I definitely approve of the way they ended it. So
Yeah.
I don't like because you're talking about putting that long ass song on the last track.
Yeah.
I don't.
It would take away from this.
Yeah, I think this is a great way to end the
But
album.
yeah, this is a perfect closer. It is a great. Any thoughts on this one, Tom? Anything? Did you make it? Nah. Oh, it's a good one, man. You fucking.
I thought it ended
on
You
39.
just sputtered out too early, man. I feel like the end of this album.
I paid this song no attention. I was upset by this one. I thought it should have ended like.
Maybe you just got distracted. I feel like this album ends really
Should
strong.
have been shorter.
Donald, it all ends.
It
all ends on 39.
Yeah. On a 9. Track 9.
Yeah.
But
yeah, 9.
Oh shit!
Yep.
Damn! I just got that.
Oh god, here we go.
Oh.
But I do feel like this album ends really strong, and that's what it bothers me that there's that middle part and the very early part.
Okay,
I guess
I get you, Robert Smith. This record's great. This is the best.
It was nominated for a Grammy, Best Alternative Album. It was going against Fiona Apple, Beck, Midnight Vultures, Radiohead, Kid A, and Paul McCartney, Best Alternative Artist. Paul McCartney. Which
Paul McCartney.
I love that he was just in there somehow. And Radiohead won, of course.
I was gonna say,
I don't know any of these people. Give it to the Radioheads. But,
They're like, Paul McCartney smokes pot. He's cool.
yeah, he's an alternative artist now.
Who was on that list?
All right.
Fiona Apple.
Yeah, Fiona Apple and Beck.
Which Beck album?
Midnight Vultures.
Okay. Huh.
Yeah.
I hate.
I feel like Fiona Apple. Did she win?
That just sums up the fucking Grammys,
Yeah.
though. Radiohead won. Kid
I
A.
fucking hate Radiohead.
Yeah, select songs I like, but I'm definitely not a huge
I gave
fan
them
by
the
any
biggest
means.
fair shake.
Yeah.
God damn it.
By Kid A, I was kind of like, I'm glad somebody's making this music, but I don't really want to listen to it. So that's how I felt about it. It's like, I'm glad somebody's doing this, but
I liked OK Computer and like.
Right. Yeah, I like them with
their grunge
guitars
album or
and,
whatever,
and
like-
doing
Or the
the
one
bends.
Like, yeah.
But-
like there's some jams.
Anyway, let's wrangle this fucker in. What do you think? I think as far
They're
as
not Radiohead.
yeah, I think our main conclusion is that
But that's
the
the
Cure will
world
never be
God
Radiohead.
damn. But that's the murky waters. They were like trying to be relevant and alternative and
Yeah, I don't think they were
Like,
trying.
that's
I mean,
tough.
that just shows what they were grouped in with. I mean, it's like fucking
Yeah.
Grammys, though. That's not a great representation
No.
of anything. But at the same
it's
time,
not.
but you know, it does kind of show what a weird time it was. Still.
Yeah.
Oh, something I love about Bloodflowers is that younger fans, have you noticed that they fucking don't have any problem with it?
Oh,
A lot of
no.
people really love this.
Not at all.
Like, because it's like their first dark Cure that they really got into around that time period, maybe. And it's weird because maybe that does cast a different light on it. Like, maybe they're not even comparing it to Pornography and Disintegration that much. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And maybe that's the problem with it. So.
I don't know what it is. Like if I make a joke on like Instagram about it, people just fucking like lose their goddamn minds. And I'm just like
people that
I'm like okay I'm like it's like I don't want to shit on it and you know but I'm just making a joke. You know,
Yeah.
but like it's I mean they'll take it that personally, you know, but it's just
yeah.
I don't understand how this album is up on the top of your chart if you're making a chart of the best Cure albums. I don't know how it makes it there. So
Yeah, me neither. And the only thing I can think of is like it came out when they got into the Cure, and this was
that's
like
the only thing.
like maybe you knew the singles, and then this was like the first like dose of like, oh, they got some cool dark shit, you know? But it's like, and I feel like we probably just pair it too much. Maybe they don't pair it as much to Disintegration and Pornography. So in that case, you know, because I always feel like it's like a third sequel because of that trilogy shit, you know, where I'm like, yeah, it feels like the third movie, you know, like where it's like, yeah, it's got parts that work, but at the same time, it's, whatever part 3, it doesn't really.
Did you ever see the first one?
Yeah, exactly. So it's like if I'm gonna really go down that road, I want to. Yeah, exactly. It is. It's the Return of the Jedi of Kira. It's got a few too many Muppets or something. I don't know, but yeah, it's strange, but they get really defensive about it, and which is cool because I'm glad that people feel that strongly for it, because I'm like, oh, good. I wish I kind of felt that way about it, but I don't know if I really do. Yeah, so that's kind of cool. But I wonder if that's like kind of the $1 million question, is if like its main fault is that it's paired with the trilogy. If they had just kind of put it out as another Cure album, would more Cure fans just be on board with it because it's just another album, I wonder if, like, always in the back of your head, you're kind of like, yeah, but it's no Disintegration or Pornography. Like, kind of weighs on it too much.
I mean, if I was gonna make a trilogy of that kind of flow, I would definitely pick like 17 Seconds or Faith to go with that. Right. I wouldn't.
Yeah, those 3 just always
a little earlier back.
Yeah. Or even I'd put Wish on there. Like, some points of Wish are pretty dark. But
shit. Yeah, and it's weird that it's dark, but it's not like edgy, really. I mean, it is
definitely. It definitely likes that edge.
And I think
there's nothing edgy about it.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think it's really trying to be either. So I don't know. Maybe.
Well, who is when they're 40?
Yeah, so I mean, maybe they're not trying to be edgy at the same time. So it's like,
all right, bad boy.
Yeah, Donald, rage into the grave.
But pornography was edgy as fuck, and then Disintegration was still. There was still some edge on that,
Yeah, edgy in a different way, in an artsier way, maybe. But that's why it's strange. And I mean, I guess as far as like putting the album out when you're 40, this definitely is edgy compared to most artists,
It's the handle of the sword.
What most people put out when they're 40. Yeah, I mean, most people
said John Cougar Millington.
Yeah, he's like already sitting on his fucking stool doing the acoustic version of something, when he's 40. I mean, this is still maybe edgy. I don't know. So maybe there's something to that.
But like wrapping up some trilogy, I'm just like wrapping up some trilogy. They're just like, it's about me turning 40. I don't know. I guess I don't see the connection of like where those other records fall. Like,
but that is kind of the connection, man. I think it's like Disintegration was him turning 30. This is him turning 40. Pornography wasn't him turning 20, but it was like early 20s. I mean, it was that whole kind of concept. Maybe people dig too deep on the whole like meaning of the trilogy, where it's not that there's like that much to pull up. I think the individual songs probably have like heaps of personal stuff here and there, but like I think it is just that bracket of your life kind of thing, and it's like,
okay,
maybe that's the fucking concept.
I have 2 views on this whole topic. Like, I think that your edginess definitely comes when you're younger, and you have that anger and whatnot to try to filter that out. But then, like, it doesn't have to die, but it usually does, But then you have artists like, one of my favorite authors is Cormac McCarthy, where he didn't write his first amazing book until he was in his 60s, and like he fucking wrote, The Road and Country for Old Men, No Country for Old Men, and like even you have like Charles Bukowski, who didn't write his great works until he was much older, where that edge, but you have the reflection to like go back and like you can still harness it. But like I said before, you don't want to be that 40-year-old with the mohawk, because you just you look fucking ridiculous. You got to find it, and you kind of have to, you got to mold it to what you are at now compared to what you were. I don't know. It's so you can still do it.
You can still be relevant as shit.
But maybe you don't find you find your voice until you get older,
But I don't feel that like with this record, like something like The Road or like Bukowski or something, like just reflecting back at your past, and this is what you have.
I think there's times where it comes out pretty well, like the last 2 tracks. I think it comes out really well. Like I think that they hit a home run with those 2 last tracks. I just wish the rest of the albums was like that, I guess. So and then they go down. They kind of go down the drain at the next stop. So it's weird.
Well, early on we thought that like Disintegration veered off from pornography in the sense that it was like the next mature. I kept saying it was like a mature pornography, but then you had the singles, and that's what made it like different in the sense. If you took all the singles off of Disintegration, it would have been exactly like just a mature pornography to me.
Yeah, I could see
and
that.
Then and then in this one, there's no singles on it, so it's weird because it's kind of lost in between where it's all like it's a little more boring, but it's kind of like Disintegration if you took all the singles off it. So it's kind of weird where I feel like Bloodflowers was definitely more in the vein of Disintegration than pornography, but at the same time, it doesn't jump out because it doesn't have those fucking anchors of like awesome singles too, you know, and it's just like
pictures of you, those songs that take you out of.
Yeah, exactly. I think it would be great. I mean, I feel like it would.
I see what you're saying. Like take the singles out.
Yeah.
And see what you have left.
Or put a single in and see what this album would have been.
yeah, exactly. More accurately, because like the closest is like maybe Someday, and that's like good, but it's not like a full on like big Cure single by any means, and they're not even trying. But almost even if you like put like, I don't even know what it would be a good example, because the album does just flow so cohesively. But at the same time, if you pulled all the singles out of Disintegration, that would have been the same way maybe, but it might have been kind of boring, you know. It's like if you listen to it, it would have all just been like, wow, Press for Rain kicks ass, but I don't know if it's like a big single or anything like that.
If they had that, like the same Deep Water as You, and you know,
but if you take the singles out of Disintegration, it would be closer to Pornography.
Yeah.
Where you add this, I don't know.
And maybe that's what they were trying to do, but at the same time, they've just matured and gotten so far away from that it didn't sound anything like Pornography. You know what I mean? It was
right.
So I don't know. Might be something.
It's a tricky one.
The things we'll wonder about.
As much as I love the fact that they continued on and have keep touring and put out 2 more albums that we'll cover, it would have been a pretty tidy little wrapping up point for The Cure, because after this they put out Trilogy, the actual live show, which was surprisingly like 2002, so it was like 2 years after this album came out that they did that. The DVD didn't come out till like 2003, so it was a good chunk of time. It was the end of their contract. Like I said, he even fixed his relationship with Lowell even happened, so all things are wrapping up nice and tidy. They put out a Greatest Hits album in 2003, which he had gone on the record of always saying that would be the last thing The Cure ever does when they're officially done, is they'll put out a Greatest Hits album. So they put out a Greatest Hits album. Then Join the Dots came out in 2004, which even further seems like they're just, you know, tying the ends up on everything. But then in steps Ross Robinson, producer extraordinaire. So we'll see what happens. The story continues 4 more years down the road. So it's a big sigh, but you know, I'm technically glad they kept going just for the live shows, if nothing else. So but I've never really dove into the self-titled album, so I'm hoping I'll change my opinion.
Some of these people like it.
I think it's my low point. I will throw it out there that it is definitely my least favorite Cure album. I think there's some good moments on it.
Oh yeah,
and I hope more pop up. I'll still, like I say with the Lou Reed quote, a Robert Smith shit is still like other people's diamonds, you know. So it's I'll take the worst Cure album over pretty much any other band, but still, it doesn't do it. So
if you had a final grade for Bloodflowers, what would it be?
Final grade for Bloodflowers. Yes, let's do the final verdict. What makes an honorable judge like Your Honor? What do you have to? Can I call you Your Honor?
Just call me Judge.
Judge, okay. Judge, I'm gonna say grading scale, like a school grading scale. Is that where we're at?
You can do percentage or like a number or a letter grade if you
stars.
Want to.
Yeah. Let's
make it complicated.
I'm gonna do grading scale like it's school. So I'm giving it a B minus. If we do minuses, it might be a little higher than I would think, but yeah. I'm feeling good about it right now. I really like these past listens. I've
definitely
had times where it was a D+, but
Ooh.
yeah. But I'm feeling like I get it now that I'm 40. I see where you're coming from, Robert.
You got played, dude. You fell into his trap.
And I've just been listening to it constantly.
Like,
so
I'm void of ideas. How about you? Like, I like that.
I just gave you 2.5 hours of ideas. I am not void.
I'm lost as well.
So what's your skill, Donald? What are you rating it, Professor Donald?
You said Donald very aggressive, but
Teach. What are you giving it?
I'm a tad triggered, but I'll give it a. I was gonna give it a C+, but I'm gonna give it a C-.
Ooh,
interesting.
C-.
Little below average is the translation of C-, right?
Yes, little below average, just like everything else in the world. Everything
doesn't sound so bad when you
below
say
average.
A little bit below average.
I strive to be a little below average.
Yeah.
You're hitting it out of the park.
Thank you.
I might downgrade to C+, actually. I don't know.
I haven't been working.
B-
really
seems a little high, but I don't know. What do you think, Chaz?
I think if you put it in that B range, it's kind of like even if it's a minus, it's like you're giving it like 2 thumbs up, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
So I think you gotta put it at a C+. It's a little bit above average.
Yeah.
So I think that 40-minute song and the second track kind of killed it.
Yeah.
You know, if you take that out or even shorten it, I think you're definitely riding a B there. So
okay. I think I'm on the same page. I agree. That was something. Yeah, it's weird. As many times that I listened to this, it never really fully dawned on me. Especially not really digging where the birds always sing afterwards. Like going back to the idea of like 17 minutes of the fucking album. I'm just like, God, it's like this huge chunk where I'm just like, ugh. And then like I'm fine with all the rest of it. I like it even and love it, you know. But it's like, just that like kind of like, all right.
I don't mind long songs. Like there are a ton of long songs that I love. It's just that song. It's just. You're just like, what am I still fucking listening to this? Like, what is going on? So, and it just, and to have that as the second track I don't know what they were thinking with that one. So
that's how you get a C+.
Yeah, that's definitely how they got a C+.
Yeah.
So
have that.
So it's not bad, but it's you know it's definitely it's good. It's not great and it's not excellent, so it's definitely good.
Well, shit. All right, I guess that sums it up.
Fucking Bloodflowers.
The verdict is in.
Ding.
Crunch, gavel sound, clank.
The Law and Order.
All right, guys. Well, listeners out there, be sure to let us know what grade and thoughts you have on Bloodflowers, because we know some of you young folks out there might stick up for a little more. Maybe some of the old folks, too. So will be interesting to see what everybody has to say. But more importantly, thanks so much, Donald, Chaz, Bloodflowers.
Yeah,
like I said.
Happy 40th, guys.
Yeah, happy 40th
it's all
birthday.
We
did it. Yep. And until then, talk hard.
Talk hard.
All right, thanks again, Donald. Thanks again, Chaz. Be sure to check out Chaz's Cure t-shirts that he's selling at his website, 17secondshirts.bigcartel.com, and possibly see what's up there still. You might be able to snag an awesome, unique Cure Christmas present for somebody that you adore. So go check it out, and be sure to come back here in 2 weeks. More Bloodflowers talk. Lost Flowers with Coulter. You can find that on iTunes. Also find us on Facebook page and Instagram at the Holy Hour Podcast, or send direct emails to gavinconner@gmail.com. Until next time.